So this is the piece I started out with. It was 2 inches in diameter here. And this piece here is a section that hopefully is very close to the taper on this. And I'll show you later how I set up for this. But you can see a little line on here. Well, if I slide this in, well, I have to remove the chuck, but if I slide this in to the number 4, I believe it is, yeah, number 4 Morse taper in the lathe spindle, and I marked the end with a line here, that's how much is sticking out still. So this section here is supposed to be like the same section of this here. It's hard to show you with the camera in one hand, but that's what I'm aiming for, and it looks just about right. I've measured the diameter at this line, and I've measured the diameter right up here, and we're right on at 1 inch 230 thousandths. The rest of this should just fall in line, and like I say, I'll show you later how I set up to do this. Okay, this should fit in here, and it looks like a pretty good fit. Yeah, that should work. What I'm going to do now is I'll throw this in the bandsaw and cut this off because I hate parting, and then we'll machine the end off nice and flat, and we've got some boring to do in the middle of that so that it will accept a number R8 collet. That's the ones I use on the mill. So yeah, okay. I had to take the guard off so I could get in that far to machine this and face it off, but it's in there now, and we've got to bore through now to put our R8 collet in here, and of course we'll have to put that R8 taper in this section right here, and we do have a drawbar already made to pull it back towards the back of the lathe. Well, I bored a hole all the way through there, and that's for clearance for this part, and it slides in and we've got clearance. Now we've got to make the cone shape for this part here, so we'll have to find out or come up with a way to get that angle exactly like this. Now, I did want to see just what kind of contact we have. So I blued this up and put it in there. And I've tapped it in and out a couple of times. And we can see the blue in there. And I'm rotating it. And we have fairly good contact all the way around. It could be smoother, but I think we got enough contact there because I was able to machine that without it coming out. And it looks like we're going to be running pretty true as well. Now I'm trying to set up the compound so we have the correct angle on here. So I'm using a 4-jaw chuck, and I put an indicator on this 1/2 inch dowel, and I set the 4-jaw up so that there was next to no run out on here. And then we got the other indicator set up on this surface, and I'm winding the handle on the compound and watching that needle. I'll just wind it a couple of times here. There, I'm winding it. There might be maybe 2/10, 1.5 tenths or something over the whole darn thing. So I'm really close at having that angle set up right on the compound. Well, I've got the R8 angle partially bored out. It's not quite deep enough yet, as you can see. we have a little more to go. But what I'm going to do now is blue that up and just see how close we are. And I have room to perhaps correct if there's not enough angle in the correct direction there. Well, perhaps a little smoother finish on that might help. We're not quite the same all the way around. I blued that up again. Well, first I increased the speed on the lathe and a little slower feed, and that gave me a better surface finish, and it looks like, although not perfect, we've got the blowing all the way around on that. So I'm gonna say, well, I'm happy with that because there's not too much else I can do. Well, I had a drawbar left over from my previous attempt at this, which was a little different, and the drawbar is a little short. I don't have really a lot of thread in the other end, and as you can see, the hex on this side, there's not much of it here. So I think I'll make a little bit longer drawbar, but let me check the run out on this, and it is 1.1 thousandths of an inch, 0.011, which is hugely better than the last attempt for sure. And actually I'm surprised I got that close because nothing is ground. Anyway, it might be okay. It's more accurate than the chuck. 3 or maybe 4 thousandths error on most cheaper chucks. So this could be of use, especially when holding something like a threaded part. If you can fit it into a collet, you won't damage the thread, so it may have its uses. Well, I've spent about 10 hours working on this project, and my first results in runout looked very promising. But removing the adapter, turning it and putting it in at a different location gets you up to 3 thousandths of an inch error. So I'm not sure why. I tried to be very careful, but of course I don't have anything to grind it with, so maybe that's the problem. And the 3 thousandths error is about what I'm going to find on my chucks. So unless there's some reason why I prefer a collet to the chuck, this is not really going to work. I was hoping for something a thou or less, thought I got there, and didn't. So up to you if you want to try this, or if you can figure out where I went wrong, you might want to give it a try. Yeah, I said I would show you how I got the taper on for this Morse taper on here, how I set up for that. So I've got a dead center right in there, which I've clamped here, and then I've got a center on this end which goes into the center hole here, and I've got an indicator set up here, and we just tap this around. Well, first, this is not set up right now. You would turn this and then just tap it until you can move the indicator back and forth using these handles. And once you read 0 all the time on here, then the compound is set up to the right angle. That was my theory anyway.